2 to 5 years, everybody's going to have a personal assistant that's like something like Siri or Alexa and talk to it like it's your personal assistant that's going to be able to take
Everyone's going to be Iron Man.
Right. Yeah, basically everybody will have Jarvis. Yeah. But hey, I need... It'll let you know, hey, you just got an email. You can give it a list of people. If I get a message from these people, alert me, let me know.
Right.
And develop a response for me and let me know what that is.
Yeah, whenever you talk to you, like, yeah, I'll do that on Friday. And it's like, all right. You got that
Yeah, it's going to hear everything you're doing, see your schedule. You're going to give it access to however much you want to give it access to. And then it's literally going to know what you need from it better than what you would know.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's going to have that.
Yeah.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Born to Tip podcast with the Miller Brothers. I'm Ricky, and I'm glad to be here with my big brother, Josh.
How's it going, everybody? Today we had a really cool conversation with a good friend and longtime neighbor of ours here in the center. Been in the center with us for over 20 years. Adam with the prop shop. Check it out.
So Brittany, my wife.
You look younger for some reason.
Well, my wife, like she after our other dogs passed away, she's like, we're not getting any dogs. And then all of a sudden, this past Saturday, I was taking my son to a birthday party, and she sent me this video of a dog with a Adopt Me vest on, and I called her. I was like, "Are you joking or not? Like that's
right? Don't teasing me?
Yeah, don't mess with me. Like, I mean, I wouldn't say it's like the breed of my choosing, but I still I want a dog,
right?"
And she's like, "No, I don't think so. I really like this dog." And I was like, "All right." So she filled out the application. They called us on Sunday, and they're like, "I think it's it might be a little too fast." We're like, "We're at home. We got nothing going on. You guys want to bring him by?" They brought him by. They checked out our house. And then by Monday, he was being dropped off at our house. We made sure that he got along and make sure our son, he was good with our kid. And that was the start of it.
Cool.
He's a sweet little dog. He's got the saddest eyes right now because you can tell he came from Mississippi. I guess they get a lot of beagles
I'd be
from the
sad
South.
Too.
So, so I guess they get a lot of dogs from the South because they're hunting dogs. And he's been at the foster house for a week. So he just has eyes of don't get rid of me.
Right.
Which
don't beat me.
Yeah. He's the sweetest thing. So, very happy with him. I wanted something that probably ran a little longer, but
right.
I jogged him.
Right.
Yeah. I jogged him for 4.25 miles on Tuesday. And he was good. Wanted to sniff everything, which that was the one thing I found with beagles.
Come on.
Yeah.
Go. Yeah. Beagles follow their nose.
Yep. Yeah, that was the biggest thing I've read so far is that they don't let them off leash because as soon as their nose turns on, their ears turn off.
They're gone, right?
Yeah. So
especially like food. And cheers.
Cheers. Yeah, cheers.
So it's today, the February 5th. Mm-hmm. New Year.
You guys busy?
Nah, not super busy yet, but
you guys are
got
seasonal.
projects.
Yeah.
Is that what usually the winter turns into? Is just projects?
All the projects. I tell customers let's do that in the winter. Then they wait till the end of winter.
And then we all need our props done now.
Right.
Does that come as one big surge?
Well, prop wise, the surge comes in the spring. Yeah. But I do get some of these projects. People hold their end of the deal and bring it, and bottom jobs and big welding jobs, and
So staying relatively busy though. Doesn't bother me.
Cheers, but we didn't drink.
Oh, I did.
All right, I forgot. I was busy talking.
Dude, how long has it been?
Since we've been here?
Yeah, since we've known you. I mean, how old was I when you technically, I guess, met my dad? Because I can't even recall.
Yeah, because you used to be on the end.
Yeah.
Back when Rod was here.
Yeah. Oh, so you were here from
I was here. I moved here February 98.
Damn.
That's when I started at the prop shop. Moved out here with my truck, my motorcycle, my toolbox. Got a job at the prop shop and been there ever 28 years later. I'm still there.
Damn.
Yeah, so we'd been in the building for 6 years at that point, and we're still in that corner, huh?
Oh, we went in here moved here in 92.
I know, but he was almost immediately in the back.
Was he?
Yeah.
Well,
actually, one of the first places he tenanted for was a car audio place that was in that suite on the end of the building. And then he started getting enough side stuff to just do full-time Green Valley Tint. And that's when he got the back bay behind them.
That's how your dad started out?
Yeah, there was a car stereo shop in the front corner.
Was there?
Yeah.
I don't remember. I was too little.
Yeah, because it's right. He was in the back corner here.
Yeah. And then we kept that. And then that turned into our batting cage
your
growing up.
storefront.
Mm-hmm. And then we went to the other end. And then we bought 106 as soon as the carpet store moved. And the lady wanted to
Oh yeah,
sell
Green
the
Valley
building.
Carpet is our main suite. That's 106.
That's right.
Right?
I forgot about
Yeah.
them.
And as soon as we were able to get our foot in the door,
How was old Richard?
he's doing good. A lot more good days than bad days. I mean, he gets more, I'd say, tired when he has a very active couple days,
Right.
and then he'll be down for a couple days. But he's doing
This time of year, he's great. The Chiefs are about to be in the Super Bowl,
right.
and so
Third time.
all is right.
yeah, no, he's doing good. He thankfully doesn't worry about the business anymore. It took about until I would say 20
a couple days ago.
No, yeah, well, feels like it. But 22 is when he kind of finally was kind of at the point of like he stopped worrying.
Right.
So-
It probably took a lot of stress off him.
Yeah. So that was good. And then he stopped. I mean, he'll still poke his nose in every once in a while. He'll call me about some random stuff, and I'd be like, I'm at a point now where I'm just like, okay, all right, Pop, love you, bye.
He'll stop by. Who's parked over there?
Yeah, he doesn't. No, he doesn't need to stop by for that. He's on his phone and he's looking at the cameras.
Oh, right.
And then he's like, hey, the back door's open. I'm like, yep, they just got here. And they're loading a job right now.
Or we'll come in at like 4 a.m. and turn the heater on. Like, is there somebody down there? Like, call you.
The
Like,
heat's on.
yeah, like, what are you doing? Paying attention to that right now?
He's watching the Bills.
Oh yeah, so he still has his. He tries to have his thumb on that still, but otherwise he's doing good.
Good.
You know, more worried about having my mom de-stress when it comes down to it. You know, she's
What's she
just
stressed about? She was always
Everything.
Really? She's always pretty chill. I thought.
no, it's just. I think them running the business for as long as they did,
Chill,
and,
right?
and them running the business for as long as they did, and just the it being smaller, and then they were the ones floating the business at the time,
Right.
And now we've now gotten to the point where we don't have to worry about that, you know,
Right.
with the growth we've had.
This industry, that's probably similar for you.
Yeah,
the
it's seasonal.
seasonality. Yeah,
Right.
like one really bad winter, and you're struggling to pay payroll. You know.
Yeah, you don't want to lay people off. So
Yeah.
you try to
Yeah, and then
save up for the summer and
that for 3+ decades of recessions, and
Yeah.
I get it, but
Yeah, no,
it's good that they don't have to anymore.
how I've looked at it and I understood it was they have technically in my eyes PTSD when
Right.
it comes to the bit. Well, it's the truth though. They've gone through so many different ups and downs, and then also
building it and
having employees that were there and having certain employees screw them over, and like it's just all the different situations that like it's kind of always on their mind,
Right.
and we're finally kind of got to the point now where we can let like they understand
They're
like, oh, okay, we're good.
we had everything to worry about. Let's worry about something.
Yeah,
I guess
to a
we'll-
point.
We'll probably be the same way when we get older.
Yeah.
I
So
think it goes
don't
with that
blame
whole
them.
like more money, more problems, right? Like
Yep.
you just find new things to stress out about.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that's the only downfall to scaling and getting bigger is all of that. It just the problems get bigger or can get bigger, and just more things
Some
to
aren't even
focus
actually
on.
problems.
No.
You just
Yeah.
kind of turn them into a problem.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah,
No.
you put it in perspective. That's what I've always struggled with, especially coming back from the military. Like I have a hard time like when somebody's stressed out about something that's like it's not life or death.
Right.
We'll solve it. Like
Right.
I'm not being shot at.
Right.
yeah,
Good.
Right.
I have to like really like check myself sometimes because I'll be like kind of cold. Like really, like
Yeah, I do that too sometimes.
Chill
Like,
out.
it's like that's no big deal, but to someone else it might be a big
Yeah,
deal. So
yeah.
you gotta be a little empathetic.
That's what I've tried to explain to him sometimes when it comes to my mom. It's just she has a different train of thought, different things hit her a different way, and then
And she's a female.
you said it.
I'm not acknowledging it.
But you guys seem like you've been pretty steady during this winter.
No, we've actually the moves that we've made over the past about year and a half, 2 years. We are most of the industry right now. Everything I'm seeing posted on social media is that people post in the forums and the groups like, "Hey, how's everyone doing?" And 80% of the people are like, it's slow season, and it's
Right.
like not for us. But
good.
that's the moves we've made with our social media and how we're changed our marketing.
Right. Probably the reason we're here now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's. I mean, the amount of leads that we're getting we got in January. I think we doubled the amount of leads we got this January than we
That's
did the
just
previous
into
January.
Tent Wiz too, and like we actually had more.
Yeah, we probably have more than that. And then even like the month itself, we had a record January. I mean, all last year after because we ended up hiring a business mentor in April.
Really?
We were just kind of at a point where It was the guy that helped us coach and mentor us through his company, setting up the podcast and changing our marketing or changing our social media. And then he asked us, would you guys be interested in doing a one-on-one mentorship? And like, I was game, because we were at a point, we're at a size now. We have, I think, like 17 or 18 people. And I mean, well, I only know what I've grown up with,
right,
which is
so
a small
lot to handle. It's a big jump.
Yeah. So it's like now with how many people we have, I can't manage 18 people. I can manage 4 or 5 people
right.
effectively. So it's now getting to the point of, all right, let's take a look at the company. Who's in what seat? Where can we put certain people in what seat? Who's more valuable?
Actually create an org chart for the first time ever and see that like in all the top positions, there's like 2 or 3 people sitting in every spot. Like,
right. That way some problems should be other people's problems, not all of them yours.
Yeah. So if it becomes a big problem, then it'll trickle up to me. But it's like, I can't have everything kind of result coming to me. Like you had, like now we have an auto
stressed
manager.
out like Richard.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, that was definitely another big reason why I wanted to push forward with it and hire him is for that sole reason. Like, I don't want to be that stressed, and I don't think you have to be. And I mean,
don't need to be, right?
Yeah, you don't need to be. You know, so it's,
even if you're making less money, it's worth it to not be stressed out.
Oh, absolutely. And then also not having that much on you at once allows you to perform the certain areas you need to perform at a higher level.
Yeah.
So I can empower my managers because, like Brennan, you know, he's been with us 18 years now.
I know. I asked him. That was a couple months ago. I'm like, "How long you been here?" He's like, "He said he got 18 or 20 years." I'm like, "No shit." Like,
yeah. He actually last year he
seemed like he was just a little kid.
He's technically part owner now. We gave him a piece of the company.
Cool.
He 100% earned it. He's 100% deserved it, earned it, and he's poured everything into this company. You know, so it was one of those things that we looked at it and we're like, yeah, let's definitely do that. Did you notice
like his spirits and workmanship go up from that, or was you kind of at that level anyways? Or?
Well, I think there was a slight scare in the fact that because of all the moves we were making, it could have seemed from the outside if we weren't clear with everyone that like, and kind of I guess how I was talking, that we were just making all these moves to get the company to the point to sell it. So thinking that we were just going to sell the company, it's like no. I want the company to get to a point where it could be sold.
Oh, right. Yeah. Everything's on paper. Everything's.
Like I want to actually get to the point where the only way I would sell is if someone comes by with an offer that's like, all right, we got to say yes to this. Like,
then what would you do?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean,
that's the irony of it. When you start looking at enterprise value of a business and what is a business that someone would actually pay for. And this is the stuff we're going over with Ryan. What makes it profitable and what makes it to where someone wants to buy it. But it's like by the time you make a business sellable, it's a business worth holding on to because it's profitable. So it's like you want to make it sellable because that means you're creating profit outside of your salary. Now all of a sudden somebody wants to buy that. There's systems in
now
place.
It seems valuable. And I might want to hold on to it.
Yeah.
But you want to make it to where it's sellable.
Yeah,
that just means you're profitable at the end of the day.
But if you want to go move to Costa Rica tomorrow,
no. That would
if you did want to,
it would because that was my parents' pushback is like, well, because I told them like what number I would want to get out of it for me to say yes to it, and they're like, well, you can't live off that. I'm like, I'm not going to stop working.
Right,
like,
exactly.
what are you talking about?
Off it,
Yeah, I'm not retiring, but it would give me a comfortable cushion to where if I decided to move on and do something else, I'd definitely stay within the industry. I've already had a couple.
I was going to say, what else would you do? It's like
I've had a couple manufacturers to approach me and ask me if I ever thought of switching to that side, and I was like, thought about it. Not anytime soon. And it have to be a number big enough to where I know my parents are completely taken care of for the rest of their life.
Right.
And because if their number isn't, if we can't get enough to where I know they're good for the rest of their life, that's not big enough number.
Right.
Like, cause that's my goal is I want to make it to where my parents can do whatever they want and they can live the rest of their life without worry.
That's what's cool about your industry. Like, there's people that actually go to school for it. Like for propellers, it's such a skilled trade. You can't go to school and learn it.
Well, that's the funny thing why we started this, because there really aren't too many schools. So we're a lot more similar. It's definitely the same thing. It's on the skill side. There's more and more popping up now for the automotive side, but there's really nothing other than like online courses for this.
Residential and commercial.
Yeah, which is the side that has way more opportunity.
I bet.
Way more. That's the profitable. That's the big money side of our industry.
Inside and out of cars. You're just flat panels, but.
Cars are fun, but you have to do so many. I mean, it's gotten better because...
But it's not as profitable because there's shops all over that, do $99 tint jobs that are crap, like.
That's fine though, because there's so many cars that it doesn't matter. But now cars have got to the point because you have like Teslas. It's a glass bowl. Like a Tesla, depending on which model it is, you're looking anywhere from 1,300 up to like almost 1,800 to 2,000, depending on which tint you pick.
The whole roof is glass. I mean,
there's no way I would have thought back when I was the main installer that we'd be getting upwards of $2,000 for a car to tint it.
Right.
Like that, I've been like, yeah, you're high. That's not going to happen.
Tint has also gotten a lot more improvements and materials a lot more now.
Exactly. So it's got to the point where auto is definitely grown, and you can definitely make a lot of money with auto, but you obviously have to market to the right vehicles, the right customers, and because they're gonna have people that are gonna walk in and be like, "There's no way I'm paying that." And it's like, okay, I understand. Like you pay for what you get when when that happens
with anything.
Yeah, so it's
you can go down the street and get it done cheaper, but
and that's the one.
In a couple of years when they're not standing behind it.
That's the big thing. That's the one thing I had to like teach because now we actually have sales teams. We have inside sales, we have outside sales. And so I tell the inside sales people like, we're not going to win everyone, guys. It's okay. Like you need to be leading with the fact, letting people know like, hey, we are not the cheapest. We're not the most expensive.
Right.
Like I think we're within a fair range, but you pay for what you get.
Standing behind what you do. Too. Like,
we're going to be here. Like there's multiple shops that pop up in the summer. The guys that try to start their own thing because they were an installer and they see all the cars coming in. They see the money coming in, but they don't see the other side of the coin of how much money's going out to get to that point. So they go try to do their own thing. And then even if they succeed, awesome. But a lot of times they don't because they don't understand the stress of the other side of the business, which I thought I understood. I mean, I did for the most part growing up, but now I really understand it now. Like, and it's like, I don't know how my dad did it with 3 kids. And it wasn't like, he didn't have a team of people. I have like a gigantic
but this is back
in
the olden days.
Yeah.
God. Yeah. Well, everybody had 6 to 8 more hours a day to do stuff because they weren't staring at something.
Yeah, that's true. I remember I bought a car off Mike Klein back when he was in the complex, and like tint was all kind of going purple, and a little bit. And I was like, I wanted to have it redone. I think your dad was still here. He's like, wait, I think I did that like however many years ago. And you brought it in, warranted it all out, and I was like, cool. I didn't even tint it the first time. That was cool. But it just shows, stand behind your work. Like, it's cool.
Oh, that's the biggest.
Well, that's the thing with the pricing thing too. Is like I tell people, like, all right, cheaper now just means more expensive later.
Right.
Like
I call it buy once, cry once.
Yeah. 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 I mean,
No, that's the biggest lesson. I think our biggest thing our dad instilled in us was, customer service and standing behind your work.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna have to eat some things along the way, but the return on it is gonna outweigh it.
Word of mouth for standing behind it.
Yep.
Like my original boss doing props and taught me everything I know. He always said like do every prop like it's your own grandma's prop. Even if it's a rental prop, still just do it like it's your own grandma's.
I tell every single auto installer that we bring in, because now we started training we'll bring in someone who does know what they're doing or says they've been installing, and it really just comes down to attitude and the willingness to learn. But even people that we train from the ground up, I tell them like tint like that when that car goes outside, act like it's your vehicle.
Right.
Like, are you going to leave streaks on
your grandma's car?
Yeah. Oh, that's even better. I'm honest. I think I'm going to pivot to that because
it's your own. You might be like, yeah, that's good enough.
No, that's true. Unfortunately, with my truck, I still have to do things to it. But it's like, are you going to leave water streaks on the door? Like, no, you're not. Like, so well, make sure you're going over every little small detail. Like,
well, on your own, but not your grandma's.
No, that's
and if you would leave that on your grandma's, then maybe we need to reconsider your employment situation.
Get jabbed on the street.
We need to change the questions we're asking when we're interviewing. Maybe we add that to the repertoire when we're interviewing.
Yeah.
Right. How's your relationship with your grandma?
Yeah, true.
If you're to tint her windows, are you going to wipe the panel off?
Fuck that bitch.
So when you got to the prop shop, you got there knowing nothing is just nothing. Walk in and just.
I came from Detroit, and I used to before I was 19, but I fixed washers and dryers. I was a appliance repairman, and I went and installed them. And this is back when you could rebuild a washing machine. You could tear the whole thing apart and transmission and rebuild it, and we'd sell like a used one for like $250. But then
everything.
It's funny now you can go buy a brand new one for $250. But
yeah, but it breaks.
So I moved out here, got a job at the prop shop. Had no idea you could even fix a prop. and learned the business, learned, pitching props, hammering them out. Then I remember my boss, he was like, you can learn how to weld, but I'm not going to pay you, until you can actually learn. But I caught on to it so fast, he paid me anyways. And then learn how to grind, and just I wanted to learn every aspect of it. And then he sold the place 9 months later. Some guy, Ron Creighton, came in looking for a job. He just lost. He was a service manager at Marine World, which used to be down on Boulder Highway. So they shut down, and he knew about props and all that, and he figured he'd come in, maybe just get a job, do something on the side. And my boss is like, I'm not hiring anyone right now, but I'll sell you the place. So he actually got all his ducks in a row and put his house up and sold everything he had and bought the shop. And I worked for him for 7 years. And that's when I really it's weird because he never welded or ground a prop the whole time he owned it. I did all that. And I do all the talking to customers, and customers would come in and look at him because he's older. Because I was only, 20 something years old at the time. And so they would look at him, but I'm like, I'm the one talking to them. I'm the one that knows what I'm talking about, but they're looking at him just because he's older, thinking he's wiser or something. I mean, he was a smart guy, but so after 7 years, he sold me the place, and he let me make payments on it.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it was cool.
That's
awesome. I kind
of,
not pat myself on the back, but I did deserve it. But it was cool. He was a cool dude, and that was back in 2005.
Oh wow!
Now we're
Dang, 20
years ago.
Dang.
And if I'm not mistaken, pretty much the majority of the town, if they have a problem with the prop, you're the person they call, isn't it? Because I know, if it's Bass Pro.
I'm the only prop shop in town as far as repairs and knows what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Oh, knows what you're talking about. That's
right.
the add-on.
Yeah. So Bass Pro shop, all the other shops, if someone has an actual technical problem or needs their prop tuned or to go faster or light didn't balance and stuff like that, they'll send it to me. But if they're just going to sell them an aluminum prop over the counter, they'll sell them a new prop.
But if anything goes wrong, it's all right. You're going to this guy.
Right. Yeah, but they have stacks of my cards. They send me so much business.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Word of mouth is huge.
I'm about to say, do you do any marketing? It's just all referral and word of mouth, right?
Not really.
Yeah, so quality, man.
Yeah, I don't do hardly any advertising. I mean, of course, we got our website and all that stuff, but I haven't even updated or done anything with that in years.
Yeah, we literally just rebuilt ours. I didn't realize how bad it was until one of our last 2 months ago. We were doing the one-on-one meeting with our business mentor, and we pulled up the website and we were talking about it, and then I pulled it up and looked at it, and I was like, I didn't realize our website was so horrible.
What, it just looked dated?
Yeah, when it came to mobile, it's you opened it up, half the screen was covered by our logo.
It wasn't clear where to click to get
the
a
mobile
quote.
part of it. Yeah, so I had mine updated a couple years ago, make it more mobile friendly. But
yeah, so
and then there's even little things about does the call to action, is it before you want everything you want them to see to be able to click and contact you to be before they even have to scroll.
Almost on one screen, right?
Yeah.
So I'll have to look at mine sometimes.
Yeah. There was a bunch of little details that it was ours was missing 5 of the 10 boxes
kind of
to
jump
check.
out at you. And
Yeah. That way you get better conversion when it does. If we're spending money on ads right now, and if the person's twice as likely to click on it just because of how it looks,
then you're twice likely.
You just cut your ad spend in half, really, because you're getting twice the leads for the same amount of money. And we've seen that, literally just changing the website, our lead flow has almost doubled.
Really? And then there's the organic side too. I need to push more for my customers to leave reviews and stuff. I mean, we actually just a few months ago looked at my reviews and oh shit, I got 5 stars. I guess I should, but
yeah.
You need
you need Nice Jobs. Man.
Nice Jobs. It's an app that when you close out an invoice, automatically will send out a email asking it'll do it.
And text messages. It'll send 2 text messages and then 2 follow-up emails.
So it's called Nice Jobs. Is that what you run your
That's just
billing
that.
through? Or
no. So what do you use QuickBooks?
QuickBooks.
Okay, so what's cool is you got to get Nice Jobs, which is $100 a month. And they set up how it's going to get sent out to the customers, the time frame it'll get sent out, and the wording of it.
So
they've tested it all.
So when you created the invoice in QuickBooks,
So
you just send it through Nice Jobs first.
So there's like a little bit of setup that's not that technical, and they could help you through it, and we could even help you through it. But you use Nice Jobs, and then you get Zapier, which is another couple dollars a month. It's not expensive at all. That's a platform that connects apps to other apps. So that connects to your QuickBooks, and how we have it set up is once the invoice is paid in full, it zaps Nice Jobs to then start the process.
Yeah. Really?
And then it'll text them. And the link that they get, if they're on their device and they're already logged into Google or Facebook or Yelp, it'll give them a choice of which one they want to leave the review in. They'll click on it and it automatically goes straight to the just write the review part. So it's like one click away from leaving a review. And what's crazy is like the third contact, when it's like an email, has one of the highest response rates. So like you even just asking to leave a review, sometimes you might forget and it's awkward or whatever. This hits them 4 times, and the third and fourth contact get us reviews all the time.
You know, that's funny you say that, because there has been a few times, every time you attended something from me, I end up getting a text later on, but I never end up leaving a review.
Yeah, there'll be people that ignore it.
Because I'm not a review type person, but
yeah, it's a numbers thing. And if
but it's
enough
funny. Yeah,
people,
you're right. Yeah.
The
So
more
that's how you get.
when we started
It's not like
using
you have
it,
someone up front.
we had
actually
less than
send it.
100 reviews on all platforms. I'm
Right.
talking Google, Facebook, Yelp, everything. Right now, just our Google is almost at 2,000.
Wow. So and that's what
And
and that organically gets you up higher on the list of.
Yeah, and then your ad spend
Then you have to
actually
spend
gets-
less on
yeah,
ads,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Exactly.
Let's see what we're at now.
It's really simple. It'll take an hour or two to set up, and you're done. And now every customer is getting requested for a review. Really,
good,
really.
yeah.
And then
That's
if
a
you're
good idea.
putting out quality work and you're already getting good reviews, it's just going to amplify.
What's
that.
crazy about that too is,
Oh, we crossed
We're
2,000.
at 2K now.
and I do, hundreds of props a month, like in the summertime,
Oh yeah.
but I don't ever get anyone's email or any
Yeah, you
feedback.
set that up, you'll start getting a new review a day.
Google lies. The opening page says 2K, but when you
It's
actually click
rounded
it, it's rounded up. It's at we have 1,974. So we're about to cross that milestone of 2,000, which is that.
Yeah, but that literally just doing that on top of making sure our customers are happy is
So was it your
automatic.
business mentor that helped you?
That
the
was
idea to all do that, or was that Jordan?
no, that was at one of our
panorama meetings.
at one of our manufacturing meetings that we go to every year. So one of the main architectural films that we sell that you have to be a part of their group in their system to sell it. We were at the meeting and they had a speaker that was just like, you need to be using this. We
Were they pushing their products?
Yeah.
yeah. So we
makes sense.
We implemented it, and then from there it just took off. And then now I'm pretty certain like the closest shop next to us is like maybe a couple hundred, but we're well above. And that's one of the we get that a lot. Where
That's
like I
good
went
because
with you because of how many reviews you guys have and the reviews that you guys do have.
Yeah.
Like hey,
I
you
got
guys
a
are
lot
more
of-
expensive, but that's like I was
Yeah,
looking
I've
for
had
that.
customers come in like, God, your reviews are like, everyone rants and raves about you.
And now here's the next level hack that's even cooler. Responding to them. Taking the time to sit down and respond to them is important, but it's time consuming. So now what we've been doing, we're using ChatGPT, and we've
Use
got
AI to do
we
it, huh?
already set up a chat with it where we said, hey, this is our business, this is our core values, this is what we do. We want you to help us start responding to our reviews. Ask us 10 questions to help us respond to the reviews as good as possible. And the front office has access to that chat. Every time a review comes in, they get alerted. They copy and paste it into ChatGPT. They get a response. They review it, make sure it looks good, but it's specific to that customer, and it's happening the same day.
But you want your customers to think that you're actually writing it yourself.
Well, I mean,
You can't,
but
Well,
you,
no, we-
but you
well,
can't keep up with it.
yeah,
We
but
take
you
in
can't
everyone's
tell.
review.
You can't
But
tell
the,
that
the
you're
fact
not.
you get the email and you actually are responding, I mean,
yeah, no. So they're taking that review and they're putting into a chat that we've curated to what
Right.
our core
It looks
values
like
are.
we wrote
So
it.
it is. It's yes.
it is you're
is.
still responding back.
Yes,
But I mean, I guess it's
makes it efficient.
And
though.
it's
and
being
it-
with the times too.
Yes.
And it's even like customized to their review. So if they say specific things about certain installers or whatever, it literally talks back to them as if it's a person. Like it's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah,
That is
like,
cool.
If I didn't tell you we were doing it and you just read it, you wouldn't be like, oh,
Yeah,
that's
you
AI.
have no idea it was AI,
Yeah.
right?
Every time I post something on Instagram, because I ended up opening my own Instagram because just like I necessarily don't like social media,
Me neither.
but
I don't go on Facebook ever.
Yeah, I mean,
Like
I'm
I'll do
hardly on it.
Instagram, and
I like
sitting down taking a shit, you know.
That's probably where the majority of the screen time comes from.
That would be
That's right,
hilarious.
my 20 minutes of screen time a day.
Screen time while stationary in the same spot, which
Right.
your phone knows where you're at.
But no, it was one of those things where like I had to just give into it and do it, because if I want to promote the business, I want to brand the business, like we are the forward facing
you
people in
gotta
the
go with the
business.
times.
Yeah. So it was one of those things I just went along with it. And then anytime, like I've never posted or respond to people just because I'll start typing something out and I'm reading it. I'm like, this reads like a 5-year-old wrote it. I'm going to delete that. And like, it's never my strong suit. So I'm like, I stay in my lane. But as soon as ChatGPT came around, I started using that. But then it's like, I type what I want into that app, hit it,
Right.
and then I look at it, curate it, and then copy and paste. Like now it's at the point, like on Instagram, like I can type into the comment section, like what I want to say, or if I'm posting something, and it literally has a button that, like I just literally did this the other day, and it says rewrite. I click it, and Meta's AI gives me 3 different responses of exactly what I wanted to say, but it actually reads like I went to school.
Right.
So it's like, I'm like,
Well, you
and that one.
No, like you went further in school.
Yeah. So it's like you have to use these tools to your advantage. Like it's going to replace people in the workforce, but at the same time, if you're not adapting and using the tool, that's the person it's going to replace.
Right.
Like
exactly.
you take it at its face value, use it to your ability, and start learning how to use it. Like everyone's worried about like it's going to replace so many jobs. No, it's going to replace the people that don't want to adapt to it. Like even the people that have gone to school for certain things where it's like, oh, computers going to be able to do that. It's like, yes, but those people have the insight into that job to where as long as they learn how to prompt the AI correctly, they'll be able to prompt it better than anyone else. So their responses are going to be better because it's all relied upon what you put into it and how you talk to the computer. You got to talk to it correctly.
And then, and I have a, secretary that's half the time, winter time, she doesn't have much to do. So it'd be perfect.
Oh, you'll definitely. And then if she learns how to use it efficiently, she'll be able to knock all that stuff out like that.
Right.
It's stupidly quick. And it's
Right.
just getting everything set up, purchase the apps and use them. Like I literally downloaded a course, which I started it. I actually need to get back into the routine of doing it every morning, where I spend like 20 minutes a morning where it's literally walking me through how to prompt ChatGPT. It's going to go from all the different AIs that are out there to how to prompt them better to where I can use those tools better
Right.
for my role, which will make my life easier and to where I'll be more efficient, get more done, and be more productive in my
Right.
job. So it's just a
Yeah,
new tool to use.
I can task my assistant with that. So I'm paying her the first 20 minutes,
Yeah.
What's crazy is in the next 2 to 5 years, everybody's going to have a personal assistant that's like something like Siri or Alexa. Where
Right.
you'll be able to have an earbud in and talk to it like it's your personal assistant that's going to be able to take
Everyone's
action
going
for
to
you.
be Iron Man.
Right.
Yeah, basically everybody will have Jarvis. Yeah, but hey, it'll let you know. Hey, you just got an email. You can give it a list of people. If I get a message from these people, alert me, let me know,
Right.
and develop a response for me and let me know what that is.
Yeah,
And
whenever you talk to you, like, I'll do that on Friday. And it's like, all right, you got that.
yeah,
due on
it's going to
Friday.
hear everything you're doing, see your schedule. You're going to give it access to however much you want to give it access to, and then it's literally going to know what you need from it better than what you would know,
Right.
and give you prompt. Like,
Oh, yeah.
everybody's going to have that.
Yeah. It's going to be your memory times 1,000.
Yeah.
Yep. And slowly integrating and making us robots. I mean, we technically are kind of cyborgs. Like everyone has their phone. Everyone has access to unlimited amount of information. It's
Right.
how you use
How you
that
use
tool.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of, I don't know, I kind of stay ignorant on purpose. But
Well, the
a
good
little
thing,
bit, but I mean, I do use it a lot.
Yeah.
but
Well,
there's
it can be a
more-
time suck if you don't use it properly.
Right.
Yeah.
well, the good thing is for both of our industries, as much as all this stuff wants to be developed, you still are like our craft. When you get down to that point,
It's still going to be done by hand.
it's got to be done by
Right. There's
hand.
No robot. Well, not yet.
That's-
Not
Not
by
yet.
time.
That's maybe like 10 years.
Lippuccino.
Oh, I've actually got
I saw you had
Frostin'.
This is the coffee flavor, so called Lippuccino.
Oh, okay. I've had that once before.
I have not had that flavor before.
Well,
Sure.
number 6. It's like a
It's not bad.
Lippuccino. You'll see.
It's good in the morning with your coffee because when you have like another flavor and you drink coffee, you're like,
Yeah,
damn it.
mint coffee.
Literally match it up with what you're doing for the day. This is my morning one.
you
This
got
is
your
my
stack.
gum one.
It's actually not a bad idea.
I got 3 weeks out of this one. Yeah, you only use it in the morning
Yeah.
for one.
So
How's Jordan doing over there? Yeah.
yeah, no, he
was jealous because he couldn't have a drink. I'm like, I'm sure he could have a beverage while you're here.
no, him and Josh are on the same page right now, which I mean I am too. When it it's
But
I eat as healthy as I possibly can for the most part when I'm
what kind of diet
training.
do you do?
When I'm training, it's really strict, in which that's where my wife looks at me and wants to kick me. As soon as I get off, as soon as I get done with a race, and I need to get better with it. When I get done with a race, like I just trained for 6 months straight. I'll be really on point.
But what kind of diet? Like,
Oh, mostly meats, almost carnivore, but
see, I've been doing carnivore
mixed with
since
fruits
the
and
beginning of
stuff.
the year. Yeah, just fruit and meat.
Yep.
And cheese.
How much
Yep.
better do you feel?
Quite a bit. I mean, a decent amount. Nothing like huge.
Yeah.
But I did a fast. I did a 5-day fast, and then went right into the carnivore diet.
5 days.
Well, it's a Prolon fast, so it's you buy it in a kit. So he gives you like 2 little packets of like soup broth almost, and then like a little tiny bar, but it makes your body still feel like it's in a fasting state. Even though you're in, like, one day you get like a little pack of olives and a lot of tea.
So just enough to kind of keep things kind of.
Yeah, but your body still thinks it's fasting, but you're not like starving.
Longest fast I've
Yeah,
done
like
is
amino
36
acids.
hours, and that was just water and salt.
Wow.
And it was getting past the 24-hour mark. As soon as I got past 24-hour
Yeah,
mark,
once you get into
I
day
could have kept
3,
going.
once you get into day 3, it's not too bad. By day 4 and 5, you're like got all this energy. You're like, you feel like you're like a teenager again.
Yeah. So with training, I've done a couple different things. I was doing I train in the morning, and I'd only do one meal, and I'd eat at like the end of the day. And I started my last training block. I started having a protein shake.
I was gonna say, once you train like first thing in the morning, though, shouldn't you drink some kind of protein or
I've dabbled. It depends on who you talk
something
to.
to kind of refuel your muscles or
Most of the
it
training,
depends.
most of the training's slow enough that you're not even.
But even with the hard paced training that I have done on certain times, it just depends, because like there's a bunch of different people that I follow, and I've seen what they
there's so many
do.
different
And
ideas.
it depends on your body. It depends on it's test and iterate. Test it, see how you feel, and train.
Right.
So I did that for a while, and then I realized that I felt fine. I was still good. I was on point, but I did feel like I wasn't recovering fast enough.
Yeah, I tried vegan for a minute, and
So did Jordan. Don't worry, everybody has it in them.
or plant-based, I should say, plant-based.
Yeah.
And I just felt like after a while, I just felt like my muscles were like almost like getting smaller. I just wasn't getting the protein. Just wasn't getting the protein I needed. And
No, the best, which my wife will say, like she has a picture saved of me of one of the times we were on vacation, and I was down to like 167, 168 is probably one of the leanest spots I've been at. And she's like, "What happened to that?" And I was like, "That is carnivore. Like all I was eating, I was just eating steak,
Isn't that crazy?
fats, avocado. Like that's all I was
I
eating."
think that's the healthiest way for you to go.
The only
Good fats and
It worked great, but the only thing it kind of set back is my wife she doesn't respond well to that diet, because she works out every day. She eats stupidly clean. It's like she would cook a meal. I'd get home, I'd eat her meal, and then I would have a steak. And she's like, what am I doing? So it was just like, for having like the family dinner, I was like, all right.
Yeah.
So I started curating it to where if I have carbs, there's certain carbs I will have, and I only have so much of them. So where I can actually I'll tell her what are you cooking tonight? She'll tell me all right, just exclude that. I'll eat this. I'll be good.
So my wife, she'll still do this like some carbs or noodles, but I'm like, I'll just give me the meat part.
Yep. Yeah. So
She can do the salad. But yeah, it's weird not doing vegetables. It's the first time I've thought vegetables aren't the best thing for you. And so I'm trying it out.
I'm very, very particular with what vegetables we end up eating. And it's like, I'll have some, and I have a green supplement that I do take in the morning. So I'll have that. So it just depends with training wise.
Yeah,
But when
there's some vitamins and vegetables you can't get in meat.
So yeah, and you got to supplement with that. So as long as I'm supplementing, I feel fine. But I found out this last training cycle that I started putting a little bit of carbs back in, because when I was doing 60
That's why I
upwards to
think
80 miles in a
fruit's
week.
a good carb.
Yeah, it's that's where I started leaning towards, was fruit, and then honey.
Yeah.
Like having honey and
Yeah, I
stuff
do
like
honey.
that.
Yeah.
So and I felt my body was recovering faster when if I went and ran for an hour or 2 hours in the morning. As soon as I got back, the first thing I have a protein shake, protein, like a half a banana, some little bit of peanut butter, some salts in it. And then I have that, and then I won't eat until either I'll skip lunch and I'll eat dinner, or it just depends on how I feel that day. And I did feel that I had better recovery and I had less, I wasn't having injuries, but I had less aches and pains when I did that. So my body definitely did need something after the running.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely the type of
carbs.
person, as soon as I eat something, if I eat something that's off kilter, like my cravings go through the roof.
But used to be like,
Fat. You could say
15 years ago. Yeah, you were fat.
You can say
It wasn't
fat.
even that long ago.
10 years ago, maybe. I don't know. Like,
2018 is when I started running.
I remember when you really just started slimming. I'm like, whoa, where'd you go?
Yeah, 2015, I was
you?
at my biggest. I was probably about 238.
Jesus. And you're down to
236.
165 after that. That's crazy.
Yeah. So right now I will, if I'm training, I'm in mid 170s, like 175 to 178. If I'm out of training, because then I've gotten better at it, but I need to get even better at it, is I'll get a little too loose and then I'll get upwards of like the high 80s, in which my wife is like, you're swinging 10 pounds. I'm like,
yeah, like, I know.
I know. But she wants me to be a little bit more or less yo-yo, and which I do agree with her, and I have so admitted to her that I do agree with that. And it's after 6 months, I'm definitely a person, which I've come to the conclusion, I'm a person that, like, I don't have to have the goal, but it's nice to have the goal. So when I have my runs, like I just signed up for my run this year, I'm going to do 100K up in New York in August. So I have until
So what's that, like 30 miles?
62
miles?
Yeah. Hey, cut back from usually the last 4 years.
Well, that's a goal.
The last 4 years, he's done 100 milers.
I did 100 miles last 4 years.
What do you take a break, take a nap, and then?
I do. This last one I did is probably the most I've slept during it. I had I have a 36-hour cutoff time, so I probably slept a collectively hour 20 minutes.
You run too, right?
Yeah, I haven't
in a
been
while.
running as much lately, but I kind of got him into it.
Yeah,
Kind of. You did get me into it. What do you mean?
Yeah,
You did get me into it.
totally.
Yeah. So when I came back, I was big too. I was actually close to the same weight, like 238, and he's a couple inches taller than me. I was big.
I made it look better.
And I did the same thing. I was kind of like early on the trend of keto and stuff. Like some of the people I was following on YouTube at the time had like 10,000 subscribers, and now they've got like millions. But I went like hardcore. Like basically, I did 9 months straight.
But you didn't run before.
No, I've run
what,
off
back
and
in, like,
on.
high
and
school
they
or
are.
something, or-
I've put weight on and off a couple
No,
times.
no.
so.
I mean, like,
The Army. The Army
okay.
kind of got me into it a little bit. I didn't enjoy it the most. Then I ran a half marathon when I was in good running shape in the Army. And I was running 2 miles in like 13 minutes. 12 something, but whatever. Fast.
that's
I was in
pretty
good shape.
Now his daughter
running.
runs it
Yeah.
fast.
So we had a
running.
half marathon at Fort Hood at the 1 year anniversary of the Fort Hood shooting, because I was there for that. And I found out about it like a week before. So I didn't do any special training for it, but I was like, all right, let's go do it. And I'm in like the best running shape of my life. And I went and ran it with 3 of my buddies, and they were pushing the pace. They were in better shape than me even. And I ended up running like a I ran like a 140 something, which is really fast for a half marathon. I couldn't walk for like the next week because I didn't do anywhere near enough training for it, but I like willed myself through it. And I was like, that was actually kind of fun. I want to do a marathon now. So then I read the book Born to Run. It's actually where the name Born to Tint kind of comes from.
Huh.
The book Born to Run was, he read it later too, but it kind of goes into like human beings, our biggest advantage, the rest of the basically
being bipedal.
Yeah. And the fact that because we're bipedal, when we run, we can change our breath rate. So, and we can carry something to drink on the run.
Yeah.
And if you actually look at the
Your
average
mind
time,
can control your breathing. Now,
yeah.
like a dog,
And then
where
like
there's-
in the book, they even talk about, they think there's a theory that the reason our brains grew as big as they did when they did was we figured out how to persistent hunt big game in places like Africa. And you can still find tribes in Africa that can still do it. 2-3 skilled hunters that can track like a gazelle in the middle of the summer at about the amount of time it would take to run a marathon, about 3 to 4 hours. You can run after one, track it,
Until it
make it
tires
keep
out.
sprinting until it
drops,
dies.
tires out.
Drops dead.
It drops and collapses, and then they just walk up on it and stab it, and now you got large game. And that was before the invention of the bow and arrow. And the
Wow.
book makes a good case for
Oh,
it.
yeah, that makes sense though.
So it's like, oh, like, and then it
So you're not
talks
actually
about,
killing it. You're just chasing it until it dies on its own.
Yep.
yeah, I mean, they still kill it, but yeah, there's actually some footage on YouTube you can find of a tribe doing it. Like they went out to see if people are still doing it and found some. But basically that book gets into that. It gets into like, there's a bunch of people that go out and run these 100-mile races. And it's like, man, when I set the goal of doing a marathon, I thought that was like the end all be all of running. And then all of a sudden it's like, wait, people run 100-mile races and there's a lot of them that do it. And this is like before David Goggins was on Joe Rogan. And it was like, oh, this is crazy. So then I got into running trail races and kind of got in and out of it a couple times. Ran a couple 50Ks. Got big again once I got engaged out here. Fell out of running for a little bit.
Right.
And then we're getting married. And I was like, okay, I got to
It's
get in
time to
shape.
get back in shape.
That was like the real
He's a little
motivator.
puffy.
So I was like, okay, I'm gonna start running again. And I'm learning the stuff on YouTube about how the diet information we were given our whole life, the food pyramid,
How it's upside
and
down.
low fat. Yeah.
Right.
Basically South Park called it.
South Park nailed that. South Park nailed it.
But so I started eating that way. I ate like really hardcore, basically like a whole 30. If it was something that isn't going to go bad in a couple days, I'm not eating it.
Yep, it's processed.
And then I included being keto with that. So high fat, high protein or moderate protein. And I stuck to that like religiously for nine months and went from like 238 down to 155. I was shredded. And I ended up going to run 100K that I thought I was in better shape than I was, ran it too fast, didn't fuel properly,
No,
crashed and burned.
you
Hurt
were
yourself,
in.
right, but
Yeah.
He
that
was
happens.
he was in good enough shape. Where he made his mistake is he skipped an
I
eight
skipped
stage.
2 aid stations.
He skipped 8 stations and he wasn't continuously fueling
Oh,
and
you thought
watering.
you could power
Well,
through
so-
them.
Wasn't paying attention.
So the funniest thing ever is the guy I start running with after we're a couple miles in and we get going on a nice pace and I'm looking at my heart rate occasionally like, oh, cool. And we're talking, which is like a good sign that you're not
Yeah, because when
overexerting
I
yourself.
run, I'm like, I'm not talking to
Yeah,
anybody.
and it's like typically a sign that you're keeping your heart rate down is if you can talk. We're talking, and as I'm talking to this guy, and end up kind of telling him my journey a little bit and how somehow Courtney DeWalter comes up and the Moab 240, and she had just like the year before won it and beat second place person by like 10 or 20 hours, some crazy amount.
Holy shit.
And she's a woman winning. It's like a big deal. And she's just on Rogan. He's like, yeah, you know who's in second place? Me. Like, so this dude's like this.
So meaning you're in first?
No.
Oh.
So like he took second place at the Moab
Oh,
240.
so she beat him by 10 hours?
Yeah, but like
8
the
out,
fact that he
yeah.
was at the level to be that.
And you're there bullshitting with him.
Yeah,
while
and then we started
running.
talking some more, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm out just running." And this is after we've passed 2 aid stations. He's like, "You can stop at the next aid station, man. Like, I'm just
But
running
you're
the
like-
first."
But you're like interested in the conversation almost.
Yeah, and he then goes on to tell me as he's like trying to convince me to stop at the next aid station. I'm only running this one loop. I registered for the 100K just to do a training run. I'm just running the one loop.
Right.
My wife's running the 100-miler. I'm just out here to support her. Like, so then I stop at the third aid station. But by then I had already I had when I finally
you
decided to
did
look at my heart
replenish
rate
yourself
again,
in time.
my heart rate was at like 179 for like the last
Wow.
2 hours, which that early in
Done.
that type of race is like,
Yeah. So
I ended up collapsing after leaving that aid station a couple miles away from finishing the first loop and had to be medically taken off the course.
Really?
Like, so I think I finished that last aid station. I was in like 8th or 9th place. Like I should not have been.
No.
I should have been in
right.
like,
It's almost like just not thinking.
inexperience and
right, exactly.
and all I was drinking was water. I wasn't drinking. So I did a bunch of stuff
Electrolytes
wrong,
and-
which has
right.
definitely helped him because I
Right.
learned
you can
from
learn
it.
from you.
Oh
Yeah.
no, I definitely did. After going to do my first 100-miler, like that was one thing that I made sure I stayed on top of was that. And
So the longest marathon I
Solid.
ever did was the Santa Run.
5K.
No, the Santa Run down in downtown.
Oh.
You know, it's like 3 miles. It's like,
Oh, it's probably a 5K.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
like 3.5 miles.
yeah, 5K.
yeah,
That's
Yeah.
5K.
yeah.
3.1. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Most fun runs like that are 5Ks.
To me, it's like I just get bored while I'm running. Like,
It depends on the race.
I'm just kind of like, how much longer is this got to go on? Like, I
That's
don't
the,
know.
the weird thing is the longer you get, when you start getting into the point that you can get out on a trail and go at least 6 miles or further, after the first couple miles, you kind of hit this like weird zone where time
right.
just
'Cause you got to
disappears
put your like mind in
and
like
you get comfortable.
like what are you thinking about? Like put your mindset somewhere. Like
It's almost,
can't
you know
think-
how when you're you're welding or working on a prop or something, sometimes you just like get in a zone and you get a bunch of shit done.
Yeah.
You
I
get
know
in
what
a
you mean.
zone like that, like
Where you're enjoying it.
yeah.
It takes
Yeah, see,
me.
I was always in the point where I'm like not enjoying this. And
It takes me about 3 miles. Usually if I get out late, and especially if I'm not training, if I'm training, like I know I have to hit a certain
you
marker.
have to do it, right.
Like there are certain, because the first 100 mile I didn't do any training plan. I kind of just went off what he was feeding me, because he's always the type of person that when he gets into something, he gets really
Like,
into
really
it.
dedicated.
So
to
it's
it.
like I was just listening to what he said, because I was like, I don't need to do the research. I know he's already done like ample amount of research. Listen to what he says, and I was kind of just going by what he said. So after I did my first 100 miler, which was right after COVID, because I tried getting into 2 other races and they just didn't happen because COVID was happening. And then 21 was my first 100 miler. And I picked one. The first 2 I picked were in California, which it was a horrible idea because they both got canceled. And like the next one that popped up, it was in Texas. I'm like, well, Texas isn't going to cancel this. Like they're open.
Texans.
They're completely open. They're not
like,
going.
there might be a little bee you might going to step on.
Yeah, so it's like I overtrained, which I didn't realize until my next 100 miler when I actually bought a proper training program. And then like from what he was telling me and from what I was listening to too, you want to be able to do the miles you're going to run in that race. If you can do it within a 7-day span, so the 1 week, like your body can handle it. It's still going to hurt. It's still going to be painful.
And
it's a mental thing.
And you shorten it up.
Well, it's you build up. So I built up to the point where I did like 120 miles in 1 week to where, and then I tapered down.
I didn't realize you got that high.
Yeah.
Oh,
Where
that
do
was
you
way
do
too
that?
high.
Out here? Or?
Yeah. So when I got up to
It's
100,
got to be like in the spring or fall.
it
Or
just
winter.
it just depends on when.
Can't be in the middle
what,
of summer.
Yeah, you
it
just
just
go out
depends on
early,
what time
man.
the
You
race.
just
What
go
time the
out
race?
early.
What part of the year the race
Yeah,
is?
you go like super early.
Oh, I'm out at
before
about
the sun comes up.
3 in the morning.
Yeah, okay,
usually.
that makes sense.
And it
Yeah,
just
you gotta
depends.
avoid
So then
the
it's
sun.
beautiful out.
Yeah. So when I did 120 miles in a week, I did 3 days in a row of I did 320s in a row. And then that was obviously led up with 4 days of smaller runs to get to that point. But I do 3 20-mile runs, which I just ran from my house. Most of my training was at that point on pavement, which now I've realized that, yes, it's good just to, for me, it was get out of my house. If I get out of the house, if I run 10 miles one way, I have to run 10 miles
Yeah, you
back.
gotta get home.
So I'm forced to do the miles. Then I started putting into the fact that I actually need to get on trails, getting closer to the race, get on the trails so I can get used to.
Dirt and rocks and
And it's not even get the body used to it, it's get your mind used to it, because you don't even realize how much you are focusing on where you're landing and how you're running and how much more energy you're spending while doing that.
yeah, like riding your motorcycle, ride a motorcycle across country, like you get wore out so much faster than you think. You're just sitting there and just driving, but your mind is actually using a lot of your energy too. Just figuring out.
Oh yeah.
And it's just different than driving a car. Like,
Yeah. No, that was definitely the big change from going from my first 100 miler, which the only reason I got through that one is because I was definitely trained for it, was him pacing me. Like he convinced me to keep going at mile 74. I was at the aid station. I sat at the aid station for like an hour plus, and I thought I had to be done in 30 hours. And then later on I ended up finding out it was like 32-hour cutoff. So I actually had more time, which I'm happy I didn't realize that, because I would have sat for too long. But I sat at the aid station for like the temperature dropped lower than I anticipated. I didn't have the proper gear with me. Like I was so unprepared, it was ridiculous.
learning curves.
Oh yes,
Dude, that night was miserable. That was the worst night of running in my entire life. It was like 33 degrees.
Really?
We were walking most
Middle
of
of
it because he
Texas.
couldn't run anymore.
Yeah.
Because you think Texas is gonna be hot.
Well, I looked at the average temperature, like it was going to get down to, from what I saw, it was on average, it was like, I think mid 40s, maybe high 40s. And they had a cold front come in and it dropped into the 30s, which like the year after that, I was going to go back to the same race, and I'm happy I didn't, because the year after that, it dropped into like 22 degrees. They had ice out, and it was miserable for all the people I saw that posted on that race. They're like, it was absolutely miserable. But like he finally came to me. He's like, "What's going to get you? Let's get to the finish line. What's going to get you up?" I said, "Give me your jacket." He took his jacket off, gave me his jacket, and it got me up. And like in his mind, in his mind, he thought he got me going again. And like in my mind, I was like, I'm getting to mile 80, and that's the farthest I've ever run. Whatever, I'm good. Like I'm done. Got to mile 80. Told them, like, guys, I need to sleep for like 20 minutes. Like I'm exhausted. Right. I sat in the car with the heat on for a bit, slept, and then all of a sudden my wife opened the door and just crawled up on my ass like a drill sergeant, which I'm very happy she did.
You're gonna finish this shit.
Oh yeah, she's like, you didn't just commit a year to this to literally not finish. Get up, get out. So they were all on top.
What's
of
another
me.
20 miles?
Oh,
to me,
wish.
that's like, I'd be like,
Oh, but
thank you.
then I finally got out, started the last lap, got a couple miles into it, almost turned around a couple times. And then I finally got to a point where I think it was like mile 90 or like 88, where it was like, all right, I got 12 miles left, 13 miles left. Like that's a half marathon. Like that's an easy training day. Like I just ran for 87 miles. Like, am I really going
you
to
start putting it in your head, you break it down smaller in your head. Like
I started
I've
breaking
been
everything
on
smaller.
motorcycle trips where we were freezing.
Mhm.
And we're like, well, we got 100 miles to go so we can get get to our next spot. And like, let's just make it 10-10s.
Yep.
There were times where we pull over and then warm our hands up like on the engine.
Yep.
Get all warmed up and then do another 10 miles. And then next thing you're like, let's go another 15. You know,
Yep.
like you just in your little small steps in
And
your head.
that's
And the
exactly
other-
how I got through it too.
The other thing that really helped is that was exactly when the sun started coming up. So all of a sudden it was like,
right. Yeah.
it's
Seeing the
that
sunrise,
sun
which
coming up was amazing. Because
Right.
it was like, okay, it's not going to be cold.
You know what's crazy is like some of the worst times in your life or the most painful times in your life, you look back are like the best times.
Oh, yeah.
oh, that
Like some of the worst shit you've been through, like, coldest, hurtest, like you look back and like those are the times you remember the best. They're epic.
well, see, that's the
Especially with your brother.
that's the addicting part to the 100-mile races is because the only
pain.
the only way I
Yeah.
can experience that run now is I have to go do it. Like you
Right.
have to get to those miles. Like
Right.
I've told everyone, like usually around
Kinda
mile
like robbing a
50.
bank.
Mile 50 is when the race actually kind of starts, and people are like, "What?" And I was like, "Well, getting through 50 miles isn't necessarily that bad, but mile 50 is where everything hurts. It's like what hurts? Everything." And it's just riding the wave of going up and down of you feel awesome and you all of a sudden you're at a great pace. And then 20 minutes later, you're like, why in the fuck am I doing this?
interesting.
This makes no sense at all. And then all of a sudden you hit that high again and you get the ups and downs. But like, I look forward to like when I finally crossing that finish line and then realizing shit, I just went 100 miles and then getting to that state where like the next day I wake up and it's like, you barely can move. And it's like, the only way I can experience this feeling is I have to cross this distance.
Right.
Have to. And it's
So you did it in how many hours?
the first one was 29 hours and
And you were with him on the
I was there for the last 40 miles.
40.
Last two loops. That was the longest I'd ever run at the time too. I still haven't done a 100 miler.
So
Wow.
the farthest that run
And
was
he's older, right?
younger.
No.
Oh.
I'm the baby.
Oh.
I'm the youngest.
So
Right when he got into it, I got into jiu-jitsu real hard.
Yeah.
And so there was just not enough time in the day for me to do both. And
you want to arm wrestle?
Okay.
But no, the first one was 29 hours, 46 minutes. So
Let's see those 22s.
Huh?
Let me see those 22s.
No.
But yeah, no, the first one was 29 hours and 46 minutes because I thought I was on and that's the reason why I wanted to stop in the last lap almost because I didn't think I was going to cross the threshold of 30 hours. So I got through the 10 miles to mile 90 and then I started doing the math in my head like, all right, I got to hold a 16-minute pace for the next 10 miles. And then all of a sudden I picked up my pace and started running and then I was ahead of him finally.
Downhill.
No. That was a more flat course.
Right.
But
Texas is pretty flat on the.
it was, I think all said and done, the elevation gain on that race was, I want to say 6,000 feet.
Yeah.
So there was a little bit, but
So
then
you gained 6,000 over the whole run.
over the whole run. So each,
So is it uphill there and downhill back?
It's a loop. So it's
a loop.
just
It's
up-
just
just
rolling hills
that's
almost.
accumulating
Right.
all the little
Yeah.
ups.
from that one, I did Tahoe. Tahoe was the first time I did Tahoe because I've done it twice now.
thin air up there.
Well, that was 26,000 feet elevation gain because you start in Carson City and then you run up the hill to get to Tahoe and then you run a section
Well,
of
that's
the Tahoe
uphill
Trail.
and downhill.
Yeah, but what you realize the second time I ran it, which was last year, is because I was in the best shape I've ever been in because every time I've done one of these, I keep getting better and better at them.
Right.
That I almost made the same mistake he did. I got talking to a guy after mile 10. So the first 10 miles of Tahoe is a 5,000 foot climb. So you go from Carson, you go from about 4,600 feet to about 9,600 feet, which no one's going fast. And it's a good way to start a race because it automatically sets you like, I can't run this because if I do, I'll never finish this
you gotta
race.
Basically,
You hit that peak.
Walk, jog.
Yeah. So you hit that peak and then like you hit a peak and then you see Lake Tahoe. It's the most beautiful damn view.
right? Yep.
The sun's just rise. It's gorgeous. And then you have like about a 5 mile downhill to where it's gradual downhill too. Or I started bullshitting with a guy, had a good conversation with him. I was looking at my heart rate, but not paying attention to my pace. Like my heart rate was perfect. It was about like 132, 138.
So there's actually like some, not science, but almost behind like, heart rate, your pace, because you got to know what your body can stand, and then elevation, and then
everyone thinks going uphill is the worst part. No, going downhill because you get lulled into the sense of
you're putting the brakes on a lot.
Yeah, it's more eccentric, so you're damaging your legs.
You destroy your muscles. So that 5 mile run almost stopped me from finishing the race because I blew my legs up there. I didn't feel it to about mile 60, 70, to where going downhill, like I started losing my ability to stop.
Quads, you're putting all the, because I've hiked down the Grand Canyon a couple times and.
Going down destroys you.
Yeah, going down, it's almost easier coming back up out.
Oh, I like going uphill because you can push yourself, but then as soon as your heart rate spikes, you start walking.
Slow down and take it easy, but going down, like you're just putting on the brakes.
Yep. So the last 10 miles, so I finished Tahoe the first time in about 32 hours. The second time I finished in 30, in which it's a 36-hour cutoff.
So it's 32 hours. You said 16,000 feet gain?
26,000 feet gain.
26,000 feet gain.
Mm-hmm. Gain and loss. So because you end up with that race, it's kind of like a loop.
Tahoe is at like what, 12,000 feet.
We don't hit the highest peak you hit is 96, 97.
So you're saying up and then back down. So the elevation difference from up and down, you're adding the two together.
Well, yeah, because you go up to Snow Valley Peak, which is about 96, 97.
Right, but you start out around 1,000.
No, that means you did 26,000 up and 26,000 down.
Right,
but how that happens though is I started out.
Oh, you mean? If you do all the ups and downs combined.
It calculates all of the ups.
I see what you mean. Yeah, because you go back down, then back up.
You start out, so Carson's about 4,600, and then you go up 5, and then from that 96, you have, I think it was like about 1,000-foot loss. And then as you get to that loss down on Spooner Lake, you then go back up. You start going up, and then you go down, you go up.
Now I understand that.
Yeah. So
I'm like, what are you counting?
There's races out there that are way worse than that, too, that have like 50, 60.
Oh, Leadville.
It's probably nice though, like seeing Tahoe when you get to the top.
Oh no, it's
like worth it.
That's the funnest thing about that race.
Go back down to Carson, you're like, it's all barren and desolate.
Well, and the worst part is the first time I did it, going downhill on the first time I ran it, you were going down a service truck road, fully exposed on the side of the mountain, and it was about 96, 98. So it sucked. The last time I did it, which was last year, they changed the last 10 miles of the race, and they actually had a single track that you could run down to where you were in tree coverage for the most part, and it was a much more beautiful run going down. But because I blew my legs up,
it makes it more worth it, though. I mean, like, who wants to just run in the middle of the desert? Well, I guess people like you.
Well, technically, the one that he DNF'd on was we went back and he DNF'd again, but he was going after the 100-miler, but he got the 100K in.
Was DNF? Did not finish.
Yeah. So we went and did the 100-miler there together 2 years ago. Yeah, that was the one he did that year.
And that's in Arizona. And it's just north of Scottsdale, and it is in the middle of the desert. But it still was a fun run because there was no
Arizona
elevation.
Desert's a little scenic though. Like you got
saguaro,
cactus.
That's exactly
it's not
what that
it's not like Nevada desert where it's just kind of
rocky and shitty.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I like Arizona desert's nice.
Yeah, no, that was a fun run too. But the second Tahoe race, because I blew my legs up, I was on a pace to do sub 30 hour, and I was trying to hold myself to it, and that was my biggest problem.
Yeah, you did.
I went out too hot.
You didn't look at your pace.
Yeah, so I left myself time to eke across the finish line, because if I don't finish in 36 hours, I'm doing all this.
So you did make it.
I did make it. So I'm doing all this to get to a race that's called Western States.
But you're disappointed because you could have did it faster if you had paced yourself better.
I would have been disappointed if I didn't qualify, because all these races I've done for the past 4 years are qualifiers for a 100-mile race. That the only way to get into it is you have to find a qualifying race, finish underneath that time, and then you get put in a lottery. And you have to run them consecutively. Thankfully, they actually have made it to where you can skip a year now, but if you don't qualify, you can't get put in the raffle. And if you miss 2 years, you have to restart.
You're asked out.
Yeah.
And then every year it compounds. So instead of getting 1 ticket in, it's 2, and then 4, and then 8.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had 8 tickets this year, and there was just shy of 10,000 people getting into the race. This was the first year that we saw a decrease in the first year people. And they were expecting that because it was getting so big, or trying to get in the lottery was going to be so hard that people are going to look at it like, if I try to get into this race, it's going to take me 10, 12 years to get into it because of just how many people are entering it. I entered at a point where I should get in
more races.
Well, this was the first 100 miler ever in the United States. It wasn't the first ultra, but it was the first 100 miler. It's up in Northern California. It started off as a horse race, and some guy's horse went lame. And he was like, well, I'm here. I'm going to run it. So he ran it against horses, and he took like third from last. The next year, more people showed up to run it. And then it became an actual race. And then with the federal land and California state land and stuff, they're like, all right, we'll let you keep doing this because it goes through like 7 different types of federal and state parks.
Right.
We'll let you keep doing it, but you have to cap it at 360 people.
Right, because they only have so much
Well, they don't want to
aid, like if something happens.
they just don't want to disturb the natural land.
Oh, it's California.
Exactly. So they capped it at 3.
Exactly.
So they capped it at like 360. So like if you're going to try to get into this race, you're committing at least, if you get lucky, 3 to 5 years. There are people that get pulled in the first year. And I think there's like 30 people this year that got pulled in the lottery for the first timers. There was 32 for the 8-ticket people like me. So I looked at it.
So you think you're gonna?
I won't stop until I get in that race. Like I won't stop past that because there's further races I want to do. I want to do Badwater, which is in Death Valley in June, and it's a 138-mile race that you're running.
What time of year?
June.
Oh, in June. Yeah, you just said
Yeah,
that.
you literally have to have
Hottest time of the year. It's
everybody has a vehicle that's like a support vehicle that there's sections that they can like drive up alongside of you and spray you down and like
you can actually get stuff from people. Most of the 100-mile races you can't
But Death Valley,
mule.
that's a little different.
Yeah,
Yankton?
you can't mule in most other races. Can't hand
you
stuff
can
off.
literally have a mule vehicle that can keep you supplied and hydrated.
Right.
Otherwise, you will die.
Yeah, we don't need a bunch of dead people laying on the side of the road
And
running some race in the middle of Death Valley.
And then to get into that race, you submit a resume saying this is why I think I can do this race, because they have to make sure that like you have to at least do.
You have to have life insurance to do it.
No.
But most of the races will have you. They got like a chant at the beginning, like if I die, blah 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 blah, it's my own damn fault. Like, there's like everybody will say it together at the beginning of the race.
You got to check all this stuff. Like it's almost like you go skydiving. It's like.
Well,
if something happens, it's not our fault.
Yeah.
Well, for the Tahoe, they strongly encourage you, which I've done every time I've done Tahoe. It's like $80 for a helicopter, to where if something does happen in the middle of the mountains, like if you don't pay for that insurance, like a helicopter ride, if you break
it can cost you 10 grand.
Oh
easy.
yeah, tens of thousands of dollars. So I've paid for it every time. But like for the Death Valley one, they just want to make sure that you have the capability to finish the race, but they'll yank you off that race real quick if you all of a sudden if you collapse, like they're yanking you out. Like no, it's not worth dying for.
Right.
So I want to do that. There's Moab 240. So that's a 240-mile one. There's what is it?
Well, it's time to start hiking Everest next.
I don't want to do that. I just want to go long distance.
That sounds dangerous.
Once running gets boring.
There's
I want to hike. Everest.
Well, see, they keep going further and further. Like, I mean, I think there's a 300-miler one now, and there's harder races. Like, you can go to Leadville in Colorado. The peak you hit on that, it's I think 12.5, and you hit that for like a second. Like, that's one of the harder 100 miles. I picked Tahoe because Tahoe, they have custom belt buckles that the only way to get any of the belt buckles, the only way to get them is you have to finish the race. But the Tahoe ones are handmade by a blacksmith up there. And I did the math roughly. There's like probably only like 2,000 to 2,500 of these belt buckles in existence.
Really, and all handmade.
All handmade. I have 2 of them now.
Really?
Yeah. So like that's
You
like
have to show me one sometime.
I'll have to I'll bring it down.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, this is what it looks like because I have them all tattooed on me. So that's what the belt buckle looks like. That was my first one. Second, and I've ran this one twice. I need to get the time added.
You put it up on the counter so we can all see it.
There you go. Put them in here.
Here you go. So, and we'll add some photos to it too. But no, I mean, my tattoo guy, when I explained to him what I was doing, like he's like, "That's my leg." Raj at Pussycats.
You said that's his leg, like he's done it.
Oh, like he did my calf. On my calf, I have a checklist that has all the distances I wanted to run, and I explained to him what I was doing.
Are they crossed out after you run them?
I've got a friend.
Huh.
Yeah, so
they're all checked off.
I
you
hit
can
my
just live
distances.
happy now.
And you had Western States on there.
Well, that's my other leg.
Thank you.
That'll be my
You
other
got
leg.
A check mark on there for it.
Well, I
You
possibly
had to
might
leave
do
room
that.
at the bottom to add more.
Well, as I told him what I was doing, and then I ended up putting the belt buckle, the first one on my leg, and I explained to him what I wanted to do. He was like, as long as I'm tattooing, that's my leg. So he sponsored,
that's cool.
he sponsored
So
my leg to where
nice.
anytime I do anything that is a qualifier, he puts it on my leg.
Nice.
So, and then the very front, actually in the Western States, the very front of above my knee, that's where Western States will go. And as soon as I run that race, that leg will be done. So it's.
I messed up, man.
Oh, you started patting him.
Yeah.
But no, as soon as I.
Why'd you stop?
As soon as I get to that race, and if I'm able, not if, when I finish that race, as long as I don't break anything, because short of breaking a bone, I will finish that race.
How old are you now?
35.
Oh, that's right.
No, you're older than that.
I'm not.
What year were you born? 86?
89.
89.
35.
Oh, dang.
I
You're
took
young,
36.
bro.
Yeah, well, that's the funny thing about the 100 miles. Like, you'll have people. There's guys that are in their 50s and 60s that are dusting me,
Right.
but they
that's called old man strength.
well, it's experience,
And they just
Right.
never
that's
stop.
experience. That's
Right.
getting the reps in. Like, I've now found out doing this. I've run 400 milers now. I've crossed 100K. I've done 100K race, and I've done 2 backyards, which I crossed 100Ks in both of those too.
I ran across my backyard a couple times.
The backyards are actually, they're really cool. That might be the next one I try to go for, to be honest with you. Backyard's cool. It's 4.1 something miles every hour on the hour. So it's a loop that you do, and you have to be at the starting line ready to go when they ring the bell for the next loop, and it's last person standing. So the distance and time is undefined.
So it's just whoever gets their first wins.
Yeah, well, whoever's the
whoever
last person. So as soon as it's down to one
Yeah, they're
person,
gone.
then the person left wins. They don't even need to.
Oh, it's like musical chairs.
Yeah,
I've taken 3rd and 5th in the 2 I've
Good
ran.
for you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and then the elite runners, they're doing them now. Big's backyard this year. They did an international one where they had teams from different countries do it in different locations all at once. I think they made it to 600 and something miles before it was down to one person.
Wow.
Yeah, it's insane, dude.
See, that's where I crossed the line.
It's
I'm I'm good.
insane.
Is it you cross the line because you won, or that's why you cross the line because it's too much for you?
No, I'm sticking to the 100-mile distance, and then I do want to do Moab one day.
Yeah, you don't want to kill yourself. Like,
Yeah. It's mind blowing how far you can push your body. Because
Right.
when people hear about like you running, and it's where I have to tell them like, no, I'm not running. Yes, the elite people.
my body's running.
Yeah, there's a lot of walking. I'm walking a lot. I turn in 20-minute miles. I've turned in a 30-minute mile, which is like 30-minute miles. Like you are like trying to go slow. Like you're not trying, but it's just naturally it's happening.
That's
But
like me.
But then you have the guys that win these races. The guy who ran Tahoe last year, won it. He did it. He broke the course record, which the course did change. I will say that. But still what he did was mind blowing. He did it like in 18 and a half hours. And so he passed me like 3 times. And every time he passed me, just happy smile on his face, just cruising along. I'm like, you son of a bitch.
Who's that one guy who did like jog through the desert forever? Like he never stopped running. No, it was like that old guy who did it, and he proved that his heart was different, and he could run like 130 miles. I think he ended up.
No, that's ice plunging.
There's some
There's
guy.
a bunch of
there's
old
a guy,
guys that
especially on a guy like who.
Well, I mean, David Goggins ran across Florida.
Maybe that's who I'm thinking of, or no, someone through like the middle of the desert, like forever. I think he ended up passing out eventually.
Oh,
I'm not sure, but
There's probably a bunch of stories like that because there's a bunch of crazy. There's even races through the middle of the Sahara Desert and stuff. That's the other crazy thing is there's ultras everywhere now. Like the really big one that's bigger
true.
than Western States is UTMB.
not bigger.
Mont Blanc. That's like the Super Bowl of ultra running.
That's Super Bowl
because
of
it's
Europe.
not limited to 300
That's
people.
the difference.
So all the top runners in the world try to qualify to go to that one now because it takes you through 3 or 4 countries.
You're going through the Alps.
Yeah,
you know what I like? Snowmobiling. Snowmobiling's cool. Except we didn't have hardly any snow this year, but
you go to Utah a lot.
yeah, it's the only place to go around here. Yeah,
Yeah.
because we
Could
could
come
do
to
some
Mount
long trips.
Charleston.
Yeah, there's no snowman up there. Well, should we wrap it up soon?
Yeah, no, I think we'll end it right there.
We'll have to do this
Yeah, we got to
more
do it
often.
again.
It's kind of fun.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It's my first podcast.
Well, we
Oh.
appreciate you coming on and the fact that
The first time we actually sat down and bullshitted for over an hour.
that's what I was looking forward to.
Yeah, me
It's
too.
kind of cool.
That
We've
was
been
what I was
neighbors for
looking
too long and haven't really even
Right. It's
done
always
this.
like, quick little 5-10 minute
Yeah.
conversations. But
Yeah.
they're like,
Well, it's great. It was. Thank you for coming on. it was good to. I didn't really know, and that was the one thing I was actually intrigued to hear. Is I knew that you would come on. I know you would learn from the prop shop, and then you kind of just, or from the original owners, and then worked your way up, and then
the
eventually
original
took
owner,
over.
then he sold it.
I didn't know any of that.
But the original owner was my godmother's husband.
Really?
So we'll leave that for next time. I'll explain exactly how I ended up where I'm at, like riding my motorcycle cross country and
All right.
moving out here. Like it was crazy, but
Well,
getting out of
holy shit.
Detroit and
Yeah.
tell my mom I'm moving to Vegas and see you later, and never been back since.
Detroit. No, we'll
All
definitely.
right, we
have to have
definitely
the
got to
next
do it again because I definitely want to hear all of it.
Yeah, Detroit was a good place to be from, or is a good place to be from. But
one. What, not stay
all
though?
my family still lives there. You know, it's like
It's a good place to be from, but not. You're like,
no,
I'm
not
out.
to live at. Yeah, it's a good place to be from.
Well, thanks everybody for following along.
Yeah,
Again,
it's fun. All you runners and tinters and boaters and snowmobilers.
Where can they
That's
find you?
good. That's our cap.
What's the best way for anybody to find you, man?
Call the shop or look up my website,
what's my favorite?
MarinePropellerWorks.com or 702-565-0627.
If you have a boat, you have a prop, you're in Vegas, this is the man to talk to. He
Yep.
is going to be able to
And
take
if
care of
something
you.
I can't handle, I know who can.
There you go. All right, guys, we appreciate you following along. Until next time, have a good one.
Thank
right.
you. Subscribe,
Yeah.
follow.
Thanks, Jordan. Cheers.
Cheers.